What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So before we start today, Evan finished up the design for the Spawncast episode 100 shirt. So it's all of the different people who have been guests on the Spawncast leading up to episode 100. It's all on the shirt. It's pretty cool. It's something like this arrangement, so it looks like a fighter select screen and everything. It's pretty neat. There's a signature edition that's actually up now. It's going to be running for the next 2 weeks, week and a half or so, I guess, when this goes up. And you can actually pick it up there. After that, it'll be taken down, then a new one will go up that'll just be sold going forward. So if you want to get, I guess, the signature or special edition shirt that's running for limited time, you can check it out, the link below. As for today, we have to go over a ton of stuff, which includes Devil May Cry 5 apparently getting some sort of censorship. I think there's a lot going on with that situation that we have to go over. Also, data mining around Smash Bros, maybe showing some modes that people have been asking for a long time now, at least since Smash Bros Ultimate was really shown without them, to be possibly showing up pretty soon, maybe in that 3.0 update. As always, guys, enjoy these videos. Do hit the like button. It does help out. We're going to start today with Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter is actually having its 15th anniversary this month. They actually put up this trailer slash website. It's like one of those interactive websites that has like a video kind of playing in the background as it's going. And it actually just says, hey, join us. We're going to be having our 15th anniversary in March 2019 for Monster Hunter. So hard to say what they're going to be doing here. I don't know if they have any plans for Monster Hunter World to have some special event or something happen there. I don't know if they're going to announce a brand new game. I guess technically they could, but most likely it has to do with Monster Hunter World and then maybe some fun fan interactive things they'll do on their website. But definitely keep an eye on them because you never know. We also had Crackdown 2 just go free. Like, you can just get it for free. If you go on Xbox Live on your Xbox, you can actually just scroll to it or search for it, and you could just download that. I don't know if it's still going on now, but over the weekend it was going on, and yeah, you could just download it for free. I'm not really sure if that was just a promotion they were doing to get some more eyes on just the series in general, but Crackdown 2 was probably the weakest out of the three. Still, though, I mean, it's a free game, so I guess you can go download it and check it out. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to be like the first Crackdown was free for a limited time, then it was it lost that promotion, that discount, and then it went free to play later on again. So this could be something that is free for a little while, and they shut it off. Hard to say how long that'll be. We also saw a trailer get released for Shenmue 3, and it's basically like, it looks almost like a gameplay slash combat trailer to a degree, and it looks like Shenmue. The thing about Shenmue is, from what we've seen with the trailers, they've gotten better progressively as we've gone along, slightly. They keep getting a little better every time we see something from it, whether it's screenshots or video or developer updates. This was like the big, hey, here's some combat. Here's kind of what it looks like visually at this point. And we know it's coming out later on this year. But the character models still kind of stiff when they're talking or attempting to show any kind of emotion in some of these situations. But I'll admit, I've looked around and I've seen a lot of people who are fans of Shenmue, like, for example, Max, Dreamcast guy, and they all seem very happy with what they're seeing. And I look at Shenmue 3 as something that is being developed for the fans first, and then for the rest of the, I guess, just the public in general, as they started out, I guess, crowdsourcing, and then Sony's helped out and everything. So I think, at least for now, the fans are excited. I would like to see them work a bit more on the characters and kind of the way they interact with each other, because it just doesn't, and it's hard to describe. It just looks, I guess, robotic is the best way to say it, kind of still. But hey, they still have a little bit of time before they have to release it. And if you're planning on picking up the Division 2, you're going to want to make sure you have some free hard drive space, even if you buy it physically, because it sounds like there's going to be at least a 50 gigabyte day one patch. That could possibly be them revamping the entire game in a patch like we saw with Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Now, the word originally was that it was going to be like a 90 gigabyte patch. However, it looks to be actually a 50 gigabyte patch, and the reason people were thinking it was 90 gigabytes is because with the PlayStation 4, a lot of times you'll download a patch and then it has to unpack, so they just tell you, hey, you have to have like a 90 gigabyte amount of free space on your hard drive for this patch to work. It appears with the Xbox One and the PC it's 50 gigabytes, so that would make sense. It's something you download on the PS4 and then you need extra space to then unpack. It's just the way the PS4 kind of deals with patches and downloads when it applies them to games. So yes, look forward to that. Even if you buy the disc, you're going to be waiting a while before that thing is ready to play with the Division 2. Then, guys, some of the quick news out of the way. Let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start right away with a trademark that popped up from Game Freak and the Pokemon company, Nintendo. It's actually Armored Mewtwo. And the reason this started to get some traction and people got a bit excited, do you remember how we talked about a rumor from before where they actually guessed the correct names and the setting for Pokemon Sword and Shield? And then they also talked about armored evolutions similar to like Armored Mewtwo. Well, that's actually a trademark. It's Armored Mewtwo. This is actually put out, like the trademark bot picked it up on Twitter. Here's a quick tweet from it. And yes, it is pointing to Armored Mewtwo. Now, there's a few ways you can look at this. See, because I'm thinking it could be for the game. And honestly, that rumor is looking more and more like it could be correct. And they had a bunch of other stuff kind of listed there, which was interesting. But there is a very strong possibility. I just want to make sure everyone's aware of this. This could be for merchandising around the movie itself, because Armored Mewtwo, of course, will be something they're going to be trying to sell a ton of. Like, you're going to have keychains and all kinds of stuff around that character, because, of course, it's going to be like the big, I guess, the big character on the poster and everything. So, yeah, they have to make sure it's all trademarked. I think it was Game Freak that really threw people through a loop for this, and I'll say it's very possible that armored evolutions could be a thing in Pokemon Sword and Shield, with obviously the rumor saying, Armored Chars or Armored Mewtwo. That's a very strong possibility. That could be what happens here. I'm curious if people would be happy about that, as I've seen some people a little concerned if that is the case, and would that be something I'd be interested in? I mean, Armored Mewtwo looks cool, so I guess that'd be something interesting off of, I guess, the Mega Evolutions that exist now and everything. But hey, interesting nonetheless. We'll keep an eye on this, because I think the trademark is just kind of thrown out there. We don't really have any kind of solid information beyond that, outside of that lining up with the rumor. But that rumor could have been guessing that alongside the movie, they might want to kind of work together with the game and the movie kind of around the same time anyway. But, I mean, Armored Evolutions, would you be okay with that? Let me know. Next up, let's talk about an interesting data mining that took place for Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, of course, data miners like to go through all the different patch files and everything that's added and through the game, looking for lines of code that could point to something new, whether it's a character or a mode, for example. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of hidden in different coding for games and applications, and looks like they may have come across something in Smash Bros. Ultimate that I guess wasn't there before. See, this was all discussed by Source Gaming on YouTube, where they went through a bunch of Discord messages as people were discussing this, and it appears that 2 lines of code have been discovered, and they point to older modes that you probably remember that could be coming back here. For example, one of the lines of text was how to play stagebuilder.html, and then the other one is how to play homerun.html. So what could that be pointing to? Well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Stage Builder, maybe you played it with the Wii, for example, where we had Smash Bros. You could build out the stages, and then the home run competition that everybody really likes, kind of the mini game. Like, I really like Break the Targets when that was a thing back, obviously, on the N64 and everything, that's where I played a lot of Smash. But if they added in some of these smaller mini games like Home Run, that'd be fun, like where you're obviously trying to smash the sandbag off and everything. And then you, of course, have the Stage Builder. I'd be curious how far they would go with the Stage Builder, if it would be a thing where you could obviously build stages, share them online with everyone, and have a full community around it. That would actually be pretty cool. And honestly, the online for the gameplay hasn't been the best. It's on and off, right? Sometimes you're on and everything's working great and it's perfect. Other times it's really off and nothing works well, and it's just a staggering mess of lag and people attempting to hit each other. That's not fun. But stage building would be really cool if you could download people's stages and play them on your own offline, because then it doesn't really matter about lag and everything. But we know that there is an update 3.0 coming. We know Joker is also going to be added here by the end of April, I guess. So it seems like everything's lining up. The update would come out, we'd get new modes, and we'd get Joker. This is a data mine for now, and things can disappear. But none of this is really that surprising, having a stage builder and having the home run contest in the ultimate version of Smash. Next up, let's talk about Devil May Cry 5. Now, it's a game I've been playing, having a good time with, about 3/4 of the way through, and it's been pretty fun. But there's a bit of controversy that's kind of come up here since release. See, after release, we had a patch, and people noticed that there is now something weird about the PlayStation 4 version, but specifically in the West. So the Western version of the PS4 game for Devil May Cry 5 appears to have these weird light sensors. So there's actually censoring going on in a certain scene where a character has no clothes on and there's actually light going across. Now, even if I wanted to show you the pictures, they're pretty spoiler. There's some serious spoilers with these pictures, so it's probably not a great idea anyway, as it might ruin some of the story for you, as some of it's later on in the game. But what's interesting about this situation is a lot of people have noticed that it's only in the Western version of this game for the PS4. The Xbox One, the PC, and the Japan version of Devil May Cry 5 seem to be unaffected by this seemingly censorship patch, where it pretty much covers up a character's butt, essentially, in the game. But what's weird about that is, as I was playing through the game on the Xbox, I came across a scene where a similar situation happened, but it was completely censored even on the Xbox version. But what's weird is it's not censored for that part, but it is on the PlayStation 4 Western version. So there's a couple of ways to look at this. One, it could be Sony. Sony could say, hey, we don't want that to be in there for whatever reason. It's a mature rated game. I don't know why you would censor that in an M-rated game, and they want that covered. But then they didn't censor things in games like Metro Exodus, for example, that would have more graphic material than what's in Devil May Cry 5 when it comes to nudity. But then Cyberpunk's coming, so what are they going to do with that one? Because you know CD Projekt Red's going to be pushing the boundaries there. There's also a chance that this actually comes from Capcom. Now, if you look at the ESRB rating that you see here, there is actually a highlighted section that does mention light to kind of obscure certain scenes that have to do with partial nudity. So I wondered if there was a situation where Capcom meant to actually censor all of them with that ray of light, and this is a bug. It's weird, but it could go either way, and the problem we have now is we don't have a comment from either side. Capcom or Sony, none of them have actually said anything or put out a press release, so we're kind of in this weird stalemate where we're trying to guess who's at fault. I mean, at this point, it looks like it would be Sony because of the way it looks, where it's just the Western version of the PS4 version of Devil May Cry 5. Nothing with the Xbox or the PC or the Japanese version of Devil May Cry 5 on the PS4. But let me know, because I've seen people go either way. It's Capcom, it's Sony, but Sony's kind of done this to themselves where they've censored other games, so people do automatically jump to the conclusion that it's Sony. And honestly, it's hard to blame them, just because that's just the way Sony looks right now. In our last bit of news, let's talk about the Google controller, because this was kind of put out there, seemingly leaked, and we kind of want to talk about it very quickly just to give you guys an idea of what's actually happening here. As it appears, there's actually quite a bit of confusion going on around this controller. So what we know now is there was a patent that became public in January. People saw it, and I want to say that this could possibly just not be what the controller even looks like, but that is the one thing cut and dry that we have from Google, is that there was a patent for a controller that has some pretty basic looking sketches and images that you're seeing here, and that was all fine and good, but then someone actually decided to take it and do renderings of that controller in the patent that you're seeing here that are full color and have kind of details added that they themselves have added. This was originally put out, I saw, by Reps on Twitter, but these are not the actual pictures of a Google controller at this time. It is kind of in their own rendition of it. Things like the face buttons just being colors around the edges, for example, the microphone button, anything that has to do with that D-pad are all things that they kind of came up with and put out based on kind of the line drawings that they had. So it could even be a completely different color for all we know compared to what's seen here. And I just want to put that out there, as right now we are going into GDC next week, where they're going to be showing off their gaming division that we believe is going to be console and streaming service. That's what we believe. It could be streaming service first, then console. I don't really know why they would invite all of the gaming press to this event if it was just a streaming service. I think the gaming press would be kind of annoyed by that. So I feel like they have something serious to show. And I do think a controller is going to be something they're going to show. And it might be this, but honestly, that rendering, I would be shocked if it's anywhere near that. It'll probably be something different, whether it's dimensions or colors or changes around the buttons. So keep that in mind. What you're seeing here is not quite what Google's going to show us next week. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about, whether it's Devil May Cry 5 and the supposed censorship. I'm trying to figure out if it's Sony or if it's Capcom, because at this point, it could be either one of them, but I have to admit, I'm leaning towards Sony, and that could be bad going forward with other games like Cyberpunk. But let me know which way you think that's going there. And then what about Armored Mewtwo? Do you think there will be armored evolutions in Pokemon Sword and Shield, or do you think that's all merchandising and stuff for the movie? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.